Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to another Plan Explain. The 200 Blitz pool has been running again on ACR, so I figured we'd hop back in there and make another video here because it's been a little while. No objective today other than just gonna try and play my best and talk through my spots. And as always, yeah, if you have any questions about any of the hands that I play, make sure to leave a comment. On the right with Queen Deuce, standard open, and on King Jack Deuce Rainbow, I'm just gonna go with quarter pot. Just makes it really hard for your opponents to defend appropriately. They have to like float some really cuspy hands and raise a decent amount. Why this table on the right, everyone's playing so slowly. King Jack suited, I think we want to mix some 3-bets here, and I'm going to go ahead and do it this time. I think it's really easy to just always call these, but then you end up like under 3-betting in this formation. So it's important to just add some other hands in here other than the obvious ones. Really good board for my range. He's also not going to have like 3s and 4s often, if ever, to be honest. Even 8s he shouldn't have all that often, although I think people have it probably more than they should. On the left with King 10 of diamonds, pretty good flop. Obviously as soon as the video starts we start flopping the nuts, so pretty good. With King Jack on the right, I'm gonna check this one. Don't love having 2 hearts, to be honest. So I'd bet a lot of other combos, but I don't think I need to bet this one pure. And then King 10 of diamonds on the left. Obviously we call a 3-bet, flop the nuts. Our opponent checks. I'm gonna start betting here. I think you can occasionally check back as well. Really bad turn. And I think with King Jack suited, it's not amazing to have hearts here, but it's pretty credible for me to check sometimes with some overpairs, and now my opponent's pretty capped. So I'm actually gonna shove here. We only really like get owned by pocket 7s, but I shouldn't have that full frequency anyway. So I'm gonna go all in with King Jack, repping hand like aces or kings to check the turn. We face a lead here with King 10 of diamonds. I'm just gonna call. Not really sure what this guy is up to. And I'm just gonna shove the river. Let me get it through with the King Jack. I think for a lot of people in that spot, it looks like my range is like ace king, ace queen, heavy when I check the turn, but when I shove, I don't really have those hands anymore. So I think people might skew my range more towards value. So if I have like a non-showdown hand there, I think it's good to be pretty aggressive on the river. Like your range really looks like aces, kings, ace, king, ace, queen in such a tight formation. So if people assume the big blind 3-bets are under bluffed, which they typically are, then you might be able to get away with stuff like that a bit more often than you should. Okay, with ace king on the left, I'm gonna start with a small bet. Again, another board where really challenging your opponent to defend appropriately. This is like not a really good board for the in position player, much better for the big blind. But if they're not aggressively check raising you, then you can kind of get away with just betting a lot. Ace king's essentially a value bet in that spot anyway. Okay, with pocket jacks, we're gonna 3-bet sometimes and call sometimes. This time we're gonna call. face a 1/3 bet, assuming this is a range bet. We have an easy call. Really bad turn for us. And yeah, I don't think there's any value with jacks here. We're targeting like exactly 10s and 9s and 8s. But it's more likely he just has a queen when he calls. Or even a king. Yeah. Uh, 10-6, bit of a loose open, but I think it's okay. It's another board where you're gonna challenge your opponent to defend appropriately when you just bet small. They have to continue with a lot of high card hands, a lot of just random junky hands with a diamond, and also raise quite often. Opponent bound at that time, so nice hand. I'm gonna call the queen jack here. Might low frequency 3-bet it as well in this spot. Just having some very polar 3-bets out of the big blind is pretty good. Let's stick with a small bet on the right. I think this is another board where you can kind of do anything. When it goes check-check with queen jack, I'm gonna go for a small probe. And very good river for our range. We're gonna have a lot of straights here. We'll obviously still have sets, we'll have 2-pair. I think all of that can value bet still. So I'm not gonna go too big, I'm just gonna go B67. That'll allow me to value bet like all those different kind of hands. And we're really challenging him to defend like ace highs and like weak pairs like, you know, ace 7 or ace 6 or stuff like that. We do get raised though, so easy fold. So now there's 26 bigs on this table. Okay, just going to squeeze this. Want to make sure that we don't go too big. So if this guy backjams, we can reopen the action or something. I don't know. And on the left, we have our favorite hand in poker. Another hand where we flop the nuts. I am going to start with a small bet here and look to trap on a lot of turns. With king 3 on the right, again, just small betting. It's actually interesting on the turn with aces. I think there's a lot of turns where it's an obvious check. I think some turns like this, you actually want to keep betting. Not always though. I'm going to check this time, but I do think barreling the turn here fairly often with this combo is probably good. Like you unblock all the queen X and 10X of clubs. And he also will need to still call hands like, you know, king, queen, maybe even some king 10, jack 10, just like some of the pair plus gutters that might always just check back if you check. I'm going to call once he bets half pot though. Obviously the perfect river. Just in case he had king jack, we've made sure to lock it up here on the river. But we're looking for bluffs out of him to come from like hands like 5-4 or some low under pairs like 5s and 4s and stuff that float the flop. Deuces if he has those. Unfortunately for him, it's just a absolute cooler, but we'll take it. Against min raise here, I think I can defend this actually. Might be slightly loose at 200 nil rake, but I think it's fine. And easy fold on the flop. All right, pocket fives. Given it's a min raise, I'm going to flat the button. Especially at this rake structure, I'd much prefer playing 3-bet or fold. But I think the exception is when people min raise, you need to be a little bit more active, and you just have to end up flatting some hands. On jack 8-3, I'm just going to check back. Can maybe bet this, like, very low frequency. This guy made a very questionable play against us earlier, so I think we can probably open a little looser against him. Easy fold with the 5s facing the lacy bet. Ace-10 suited, gonna mix 3-bet and flat. This time I'll 3-bet. Alright, so far we flopped the nut straight, set over set someone. Looking good in the first 12 minutes or so. We also ran a 2x pot river bluff that worked. So smooth sailing so far. Yeah, easy. I mean, the size is so small, but he just has no chips behind, so I'm just gonna fold the queen 5. And we'll 3-bet him right back on the other table. This board is dry enough where we can get away with lots of small betting. Our hand also not too bad. We have a lot of turns we can barrel. And we take it down on the flop. On the right with ace king, also an easy 3-bet. I'm gonna 3-bet the queen jack suited as well. Big blinders cut off. Everyone's folding to my 3-bets right now. I guess that's a good thing. Unless you have like aces or kings, I think you make more from getting folds than you do from actually playing post flop. Flop a combo draw on the right here with king jack. I'll bet the flop small. Can also play big bet and check. Can also do whatever. As long as you just have a sound strat. So many different options. A7, I'm going to defend on the left. And queen jack suited on the right, we raise minus blind. I'm gonna bet the flop. A7, it's not the best, but I guess I'll float one. But his hand is pretty bad. And yeah, easy fold on the turn. On the turn with queen jack, I'm gonna elect to play more polar, so I'm just gonna check. And look to value bet river. On the left with 10-9, I'm gonna start with a check. Like blind versus blind, in particular, the low paired boards is really bad. We've already seen this guy be a bit more aggressive on these type of boards against us. Again, he could have just had a hand, but I think it's okay to check more often with these. On the right with queen jack, I'm gonna call. Don't love it, but I will call. So he's saying he has like a decent king or better on the turn when he pots it. My hand is like decent. Obviously we block king jack and we block and we unblock a lot of bluffs. Like he's not gonna have the queen of spades that really bluffs that often on the turn. He's gonna mostly have like club and diamond hands that float the flop. Hey, so on the left with 10-9, just block the river. We block a lot of the calls. Interesting when we face a raise. Don't really know what he has. I'm gonna end up calling this. I just think it's too full of shit, and we have like decent blockers, and we kind of induced with our size. Maybe he has pocket eights exactly. I don't know. 10-8 maybe. Pocket eights exactly. Okay. On the right, he's really saying he has like king 10. I don't really know. I blocked queen 9, which is good. Yeah, king 10. I mean, I called both of their hands. I called anyway and lost both, so classic. On the left here, 10-9 suited. I obviously didn't mean to min 3-bet. I thought I was opening. Pocket 8s that guy had, and king 10, yeah. I just called my hand. Like I said, I block value and don't really block bluffs. And he's repping a very narrow range when he shoves the river there. Like he has to have floated king 10, which it seems normal, and then chosen to pot that hand on the turn, which also seems fine, but probably not pure. I mean, maybe. But he doesn't really have sets, and hard for him to have a straight. I can also have ace queen myself there. So he can't jam that thinly. Like I think king 10 is probably his thinnest jam. I don't think king 4 or king 5 can go all in there. So yeah, I think I'm fine with my call. Again, maybe he just massively underbluffs the spot. I don't really know any of these players, but the other one, I can't pull up the replayer for some reason. The other one, 9, 4, 4, check call, turn 10, check, check, river 8. Yeah, I mean, part of the reason why I didn't believe him is I thought pocket 8s would 3-bet a little bit more often. Like some people 3-bet at pure blind versus blind. And then I just expect most people to bet 4x on the turn. I don't really anticipate anyone slow playing 4 on the turn. So again, another spot where his value is very thin. I mean, you could have potentially a hand like Queen Jack or 6-7, but again, I think people massively over barrel those on the turn. So just another spot where value range is pretty narrow. Obviously, I'm making a lot of assumptions, but I'm pretty confident in them. So the only argument you could have there is, what does he bluff with? And how often is he bluffing? I think the 10-9 is actually closer than the Queen Jack. I'm going to fold here facing turn barrel. I think the Queen Jack, it's not too difficult for people to like end up over bluffing that spot just because there's a lot more candidates. Whereas the 10-9 hand versus 8s, there's not that many obvious choices for him to bluff with. So maybe that one isn't as good. But anyway, moving on. The reason why there's not as many obvious choices is because I bet so small in the river and it was a disconnected line. Like very little money has gone to the pot at that point. So if he has any pair, he can end up just calling profitably. And therefore might not turn anything into a bluff, or at least turn any pairs into a bluff. And then if you don't do that, it's kind of unintuitive what your like bluff shoves would be there. Or sorry, not bluff shove, but your bluff raises would be there. Anyway, back to a better spot. Pocket aces facing a big blind 3-bet. We're a bit deeper here, about 140, so I'm gonna size up a little bit. I mean, I could go bigger than this, to be honest, but I think that's fine. Okay, pocket jacks. Start with a small c-bet and take it down. Ace 4 suited, I'm going to 3-bet as well. Debating if I should just check the river with the 10-9. Kind of block all the hands I want to get called, but I don't know. I mean, he can have under pairs and even some ace highs and stuff. River to 8, obviously. I'm going to ISO this against a limp. But if this guy, I don't know this guy, I'm going to assume it's a rec and just ISO. But there's some regs who like to play like limping strats from EP and MP. And against those guys, you have to be a lot more careful with your ISOs. Here I have to fold anyway. King Queen with the spade. I'm just going to call this time, but check raise here sometimes for sure. Face double barrel. I'm gonna fold, I guess. Still beat all the bluffs and we can improve to the nuts, but we only have 2 nutted outs because the flush completes on the other 2, and he could be bluffing like deuces and 4s and stuff, so not ideal. I think in later positions we would call that pretty often. A6 suited, not amazing. I'm gonna call this time. Just having a suited ace when we're deeper is pretty good. Really good board for our range, obviously, and decent for our hand. I expect him to just check his whole range, and I think we can stab here pretty high frequency. And even though we're deeper, I'm just gonna play quarter pot still. And we'll have a lot of our nutted hands. We'll also have some middling strength hands, maybe like pocket tens that, I mean, that's a strong hand, but, you know, doesn't want to necessarily play for stacks. And then we'll be able to protection bet, you know, low pairs and stuff and just get folds from overcards. Turn is interesting. I think I'm going to mix now. I am going to barrel this time, but not every time. And now we're going to be more polar. We're going to still bet some sets and two pairs, and then we're also going to bet, obviously, some flushes. We'll pick a larger sizing on the turn. But I think the small bet is really good on the flop because it allows you to, you know, still put money in with your strong hands, but then also get a lot of protection from your weak hands, and then, you know, bluff effectively with some air for a pretty good price. So this works really well for your range. Pocket jacks, 3-bet and take it down, and king queen suited also 3-bet. All right, Jack 7, we flop 2-pair. Go small bet on the flop and see what happens. Again, if you're playing against tough opponents, like they should be check raising here extremely often and making your life difficult. If they're not doing that, then you should just keep betting pretty often. In these positions at this depth, I don't think I'm going to 4-bet ace jack off ever. I'm going to look for slightly better hands or suited hands. Can't do anything with king 5. All right, queen deuce suited, we'll defend, button, big blind versus button. Pretty good board for our range, but can't do anything when we face a big bet, unfortunately. I'm going to make a loose 3-bet here just because of what we saw earlier. I think this guy might be a weaker player, although his opening size is not indicative of a bad player, but the king 10 hand at the beginning of the video was really weird, so I don't know. I'm more inclined to assume he's a wreck until proven otherwise. 6 is just the worst board in the world for us. Have to let it go. Looks like the pool is cooling down a little bit. Try and get a couple more interesting spots in before we call it a video. I think we had some fun hands so far. I mean, I called two people's exact hands, called them both and lost both at the same time, so that was exciting. Then we had some heat at the beginning of the video. Okay, small bet against our friend in the big blind here. A bit of a loose open, but again, I think it's okay. It's alright to be a little loose. I think it's better than being a little tight. And this is also loose, but I don't care. Let's peel the flop. I think when you do open these, you're actually meant to call 3-bets. You're just not meant to open them pure, or I mean, from under the gun, maybe never, but when you know a set's coming, you may as well. And just gonna call on the flop. It's gonna be pretty Broadway heavy, so I want to give him the opportunity to turn a pair. Like that. Okay. There's definitely some incentive to raise here, but I'm going to keep calling. You just protect like my range when I have queens, jacks, 10s, 9x, etc. I mean, we got a very good run out, obviously. Unfortunate. It feels like he just has queens a lot here, or jacks, but I mean, those hands should definitely call sometimes. I have a lot of missed draws here, so. I mean, maybe he has kings and he funneled us into the over bluff line. Let's see. Oh, no, I put it in the universe. Oh, fuck. Okay, on the left, we defend a 3-bet and face a tiny bet on the monotone flop. I think you can raise against this. Sometimes they just have, if they're doing this with their whole range, they just have a million hands that really hate facing the raise, obviously. I think on the queen now, I'm not loving my life as much, so I'll just check back. And with pocket nines, we face a 4-bet. I'm going to call. Pretty grim. That's what I get for calling deuces. I mean, this bet's so small, I'm gonna peel, but don't love it. And just gonna let go of the 6-5. I think I'm gonna call it a video there, guys. After these next two orbits. Definitely some fun hands this video. It wasn't me just making the nuts the whole time. I think he played his hand with kings very well for what it's worth. And yeah, just particularly on the 10, just I can't really do anything here. Huh? Why did he check that back? That's crazy. I mean, I understand I can have some boats there, but I also had pocket nines. Not that I would call that, but my range is wide enough to where he should still value bet his king, I think. Anyway. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Let me know what your favorite hand from this video was. I feel like we had quite a few ridiculous ones. But yeah, have a good one, and we'll see you next time.